Right. A very good evening to everybody. We are so glad that we could all come together in this fashion on this very special occasion that is International Women's Day. And yeah, it's so colorful to see all women on the screen and not any man around. Just kidding. But thank you one and all for joining us this evening on the call. Ananth, Jeevan welcomes each one of you on this very special occasion, on the very first of its kind that we are doing. We've been starting a series, and this is the first of its series in the talks called My Talks. And the very first series of talks, we are doing it on International Women's Day, talking about mental health challenges in women. We are so glad that each one of you is here. And before we begin, we will have a small little video and then we will take it further. Yes, only two. Just give us a minute, the video will be played. Thank you. We're having an echo here issue here. Thank you. Thank you. That was a very short video to just show some statistics about why there's a mental health issue. And we'll talk more about it. And again, a warm welcome to all those of you who have joined us live on YouTube. Please connect with your friends, share the link with them. We are going to have an interesting discussion about mental health issues and how we can navigate these issues, how we're going to deal with them in this age that we are living in. And before we go further, I'll introduce our panelists one by one. And our very first panelist for this evening is Dr. Mrs. Uma Joseph, Dr. T. Uma Joseph, yes. And she's a principal of St. Francis College for Women at Begumpet in Hyderabad. And ma'am is just not, she's been a teacher for, a lecturer for many years now. And she's a consultant to various autonomous colleges as well. And she's a member of Board of Studies Department of History in Osmania University. And in these many years, ma'am has been invited as a resource person at a number of national and international workshops and seminars all across the country and abroad. Ma'am, thank you for joining us. We are so happy that you could join us today. And ma'am is married, is blessed with two wonderful daughters. And she can tell us a little more about that further. But before we could talk about anything more, ma'am, can you please throw us more light on why do you think mental health issue in women is important in this age that we are living in?
Thank you so much, Pranita. And I want to wish every one of us here on the panel and every one of you who have joined us a very happy Women's Day. And I believe that God has called each one of us to enjoy life because He says, I've come to give life and life abundantly. So that is the blessing that God has for each one of us. And so it's so important. And I'm so glad that Ananth, Jeevan has thought of one important issue that probably sometimes is overlooked or even neglected, and that is the issue of mental health. Because mental health is all about our emotional, psychological, and social well being itself. And why is it that we need to give so much importance to it? Because it affects how we think, how we feel, and also how we act itself. And when it affects all these areas, it also affects how we handle things, how we handle stress, our relationship with others. It even affects our choices. So that's the reason why it's so important that at every stage of our life, especially we are talking in terms of women, when you were talking about mental health in this age, but I want to tell at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, at every stage, we cannot ignore really what mental health is all about. One of the things that Bible very certainly tells us is, in this world you will have troubles. More than anything else, it's certain about that. But the best part about it, it says, be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. And it also talks about all the rewards that are there for those who overcome. So I think that is the reason why this evening we are here to talk about different issues that women face, especially that relates to mental health, the challenges that we face. Because often I would say that some of the things that really cause challenges and that cause probably issues of mental health is that many times women are under stress for different reasons. For example, we juggle multiple roles that are there: our career, our family, the expectations that are there from the society. Then we are also talking in terms of the biological changes that are there in women. We have unique biological changes throughout our lives, right from puberty to pregnancy to postpartum period to menopause. All these things definitely impact our mental health. The reason why I'm saying this is that this is not unique just for any one of you individually who are listening. It affects everyone. But the whole question is, how are we going to face it? How are we going to face these issues? And then how are we going to overcome them? Not just keep them as a challenge. And, we face even gender specific challenges that are there, discriminations that are there, the violence, gender based violence that are there, even reproductive health issues that are there. And then women face a lot of expectations, societal expectations that are there. We have certain standards that the world has set, certain standards of beauty, certain standards of behavior, certain standards of success. All these things sometimes make the women feel we are inadequate. And probably sometimes it could even lead to low self-esteem and anxiety itself. And many times when you go through these situations that are there, you don't really go for help. You don't even realize what you are going through. You think that probably this is what I have to face, because there is so much of stigma that is attached to the word mental health itself. And so you think that probably I should not think that I belong to that category. But when you prioritize women's mental health issue, I'm sure that this will really help you to grow. And I also believe that, some of the health challenges mental health challenges that women face, they're quite different also from men. And so in this age, when we are looking in terms of mental health, I believe, Pranita, and every one of you who are here on the panel would also agree that these are issues, the issues that I have mentioned now, they are so unique to women, but it's not unique to one woman alone. These are in different situations, they face it. But I know that, with God's help, with the help of a number of, people that are there around who can be of help, you can overcome all these things. And I really want to appreciate Anand Jeevan too for that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for throwing that light on the issues that women face. On that note, I would request all our audience who are watching us live on YouTube, please send in your questions. We'll not be answering them right away, but we will handle all those questions individually towards the end of our program. We encourage you to please type in your questions in the comment sections in the YouTube. And the first question that I would like to ask you, ma'am, and you actually threw a little light on that. What are some of the common mental health challenges that women face? And how do they differ from those faced by men?
Yeah. First of all, women are different from men, so there are different biological changes, social, cultural factors that affect them are also different. If you look at it very specifically, Pranita, and to all the women who are listening, women are more likely than men to experience depression and anxiety. That's what many of the statistics also say. That's because probably women go through a lot of hormonal fluctuations. And also, like I also mentioned a while ago, we face a lot of societal pressures. At every stage of life, expectations are very high from everyone around you, whether it's your family, the society, or wherever you are there. And many of these pressures that are there, the societal pressures that we are talking about, are very gender specific pressures that are there. For example, when somebody looks at you, they start asking a girl at a certain age, when are you getting married? And then when you get married, you're asking, when are you going to have a child? And it almost makes you feel like you are alone responsible for all these things. So these are the pressures that are there that the society often puts before you. But there are also gender specific stressors that are there that contribute to it. One is the disparities that often are there, the gender disparities that are there, gender bias that is there, that also causes a lot of stress. And that is specifically to women, whether it's in the workplace, sometimes it's in outside in the society, sometimes it could happen within the family too. Things that are very specific when you're talking about this mental health issues is sometimes eating disorders also. Women have to think about these things. We talk of big words that are there like anorexia and so on, or even bulimia. And you've heard of celebrities having these disorders that are there, or this binge eating disorder. Why do you see that sometimes you're just binging on, food, and you're just eating even when you're not hungry? These are all signs that we need to really see. Sometimes they could be signs of a depression that you're going through without your knowledge. And all that you need to do is that you need to seek help, because even society emphasizes a lot. For example, society emphasizes a lot on being thin. You see a lot of commercials that talk about the beauty standards that women have to have. These can also affect a lot of our self, esteem. Then coming to again something that is very specific to women, I was thinking of how women go through postpartum depression also. Many of them, they're wondering, like they're waiting 9 months for the birth of a child. And finally, when they have the child in their arms, why is it that suddenly they're feeling low? You need to understand that there are a lot of things that are happening within your body, your hormonal changes that are there, the sleep deprivation that you have, or the stress of caring for a newborn, because that's something so new for you. These are all the things that makes you feel so stressed. So this is again, like I want to tell you, it is very, unique. At the same time, it is unique for each one of us. You should understand that every one of them go through that during this time. I could also think of, some other things that are there. Probably at some point of time, maybe when you were a little child, there were certain traumatic experiences that you could have had. That also will have an impact on you. Probably a sexual assault that took place, maybe domestic violence that was there, a childhood abuse that was there. All these could lead to what psychologists, call it as post-traumatic stress disorders. And many times these things are just overlooked. These things, everyone thinks that something happy happens in your life, you forget everything that happened in the past. Yes, definitely with God's help, you can forget everything that happens in the past, but you need to understand what you went through and then see that you have clean forgotten, you've gotten over it. There is a healing that has taken place. Also, you will notice another thing that I've seen among women is there is a lot of panic disorders that we have. women are more likely than men to experience even panic attacks and panic disorders. All that is also because of some biological factors that are there. It causes a lot of stress. Sometimes hormonal fluctuations can cause a lot of panic and stress, and all these things, they contribute to the lack of peace that is there in them. So all these, the multiple stressors that we call, it could be related to work, it could relate to family, it could relate to social expectations that are there. All these things will definitely lead to stress, and we have to see how we can overcome that. I want to just give you one example. I was just thinking of a working woman. I head a college, and I see so many young women working in the college. And for example, a young lecturer who's gone on maternity leave and comes back after 3 months, what is her mental state? You've left your child at home. Your child has to now substitute mother's milk for some other milk, the physical separation from the child. And then when the child is sick, what are all the things that goes on in your mind? And then to add to all that, you have deadlines at work. There are days you feel that you can never take the leave on that day, and that's the day you're required to be at home. These are some of the things that will definitely cause a lot of stress. And if you are just going to ignore it and say that I'm a busy woman, I'm a working woman, and so I have to go through this, if you don't recognize these things, then it causes a lot of stress on your mental health. But a little bit of help, a little bit of intervention, and a little bit of addressing these issues will definitely go a long way to help the women to be restored to good mental health. That's what I think, Pranita.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I so agree with Uma ma'am that, I have been counseling one particularly woman who is, away from her husband during pregnancy. And when she got back to her husband after her child was born, it was quite some months at her parents' place. So now her husband, he just, lost that bond with her. And now he keeps, always taunting her for small little things. So she, like you said, post the birth of a child, she's also dealing with the taking care of the child, as well as, now issues with her husband. And so all these things are putting so much stress on her mental health. So this is just one of the examples that came to my mind when you were speaking about, mental health and how it affects women more than it affects men, the differences between men and women. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And on this note, I would like to introduce you to our second member of our panel, Mrs. Grace Nirupama. Mrs. Grace Nirupama has been a lecturer in the past. She has been a lecturer in physics. Oh my God, these are such big subjects, hard for me. But she chose to leave that job and to serve in the ministry of the church alongside her husband. They have a church called Bethel Ministries in Hyderabad. And she just now assists her husband, taking care of the affairs of the church, but she's very much into the women's and the children's ministry and the outreach of the church. And she's a certified John Maxwell coach, and she runs a music institute called Trestle. And Trestle also teaches and life skills and in schools around Hyderabad. And they have two lovely children, one boy and one girl. On this note, ma'am, could I ask you, how can one, overcome the stigma surrounding mental health issues, especially with women? How can one overcome the stigma? Talking about it, or sharing about it. Please, if you can throw some light, that will be great.
Yeah, Pranita. When it comes to mental health, before I even talk about stigma about mental health, the way I look at mental health is, it's like physical health. So it's not to be looked at as a different way, a different word as such. Even the very word mental health is being looked at in a very critical way these days. So I would say that, just like you have physical health, you have mental health and mental well-being. So everybody at one point or the other, we have these attacks on our mental health. It's not that Only if somebody is going through some deep depression or anxiety or something, it is mental health. It's a mental health issue. But day in, day out, women especially, we have so many things to juggle around. So every woman has sleepless nights. And we have phases when we are so stressed. So in all these phases, our mental health gets affected. So mental health is not really the issue. So mental health being affected now and then is the issue. So I think it's very good to actually talk of mental well-being and mental health on a very regular basis. So the more we talk about it, the more we discuss, it shouldn't really be such a big taboo, or such a big word that is really being looked at in a negative way, the way it stigmatizes people. And then mental health varies from person to person. It's not that oh, I have also been through, like sometimes people come to me and say, when I just complain to my husband or my mom-in-law that I'm not doing well because I'm getting stressed, then the mom-in-law says, I have also been through all these things. How come you're making it an issue? So it differs from person to person. Like our physical health, the way we respond to a stress, I respond to a stress differs from how another person responds to stress. So it varies from person to person. The more we talk about it, the more awareness is there, the problem actually comes to light, and there is a probability of it being solved. So if somebody cannot really face mental health, or say mental health issues, it is not weakness, but it's actually a sign of strength. It's a sign of strength when you talk about it. Don't look at it as weakness. For those who are listening here today, I am just telling you that to talk about it is strength. It's not weakness. And there's great relief when you share, actually. We women have a need for conversation. One of our major needs is a need for conversation.
Right.
So I think just sharing about it in itself will bring out most of the pain out, and then it will benefit the person greatly.
Yes.
According to statistics, it is said that I guess this is American statistics. I don't have the exact numbers, but it is a study reveals that 90% of people who have actually committed suicide and given up have had mental health issues. So had they talked about it, had they brought it out, maybe most of them, if not all of them, would have definitely, maybe have had a second chance.
Yeah.
So I think we should encourage people to, write about it, even if they can't talk about it. Just write an email or write a note, give it to someone whom you love or whom you trust, and just tell them that something is going wrong with you. Or, there is a way to talk about it anonymously. I usually encourage my youth and women at church, by asking them this. I generally ask them, what mental health issues are your friends going through? Because if I ask them what you are going through, maybe it is again, a stigma kind of a thing. So I generally ask them, what do your friends face? How do they, respond to situations? How is anybody going through depression and things like that? Recently, I've had a young boy walk up to me, and he was talking to me about a friend that he has. And he said, my friend is wanting to end his life because he has had a breakup with his girlfriend. But yeah, I had counseled him and I helped him. But I was thinking that it was probably not the friend, but it was this boy who was actually going through the issue. But it was good that he actually chose to say that my friend is going through this issue. So these are some of the ways in which people can actually start talking about it. Even if there is stigma, even if somebody would brand you, if you still have that fear, there are ways to even be anonymous and still talk about it and get help and approach people. And stigma, yes, it's there in the society. We can't change the whole society at once, but the more we talk, the more we get over stigma. So rather than expecting people to change, it's better we deal with it. So sometimes, I mean, there are ways to actually get people to get over this stigma. by talking about it publicly, institutionally, and even at a self level. For example, educators like Uma ma'am, they interact day in and day out with a lot of students and women as lecturers and so many different people. So if they are all educated or aware of what mental health issues look like, or when there is a red flag, when somebody needs to reach out for help, the people around them also can identify and refer them to some therapist or some kind of help. So being aware is most important to overcome stigma. And even on social media, there are a lot of celebrities who actually came out and spoke about their mental health issues and their, their depression and all the things that they were going through. Though they usually put up a very nice, image of theirs out there on social media, but they spoke about their things. I don't want to take names, but there are a lot of people who came up and spoke. So that really benefited because they have so many followers and so many others, young people who are looking up to them. They actually started speaking about their own mental health. So again, some survey says that, in a group of 14 to 22-year-olds, 90% of them are actually accessing other people's mental health stories, reading their blogs, listening to their podcasts, and listening to their videos. And so many young people out there are looking for, help. So talking openly and educating yourself and educating others and showing compassion, being honest, and training leaders to identify red flags. These are some of the ways in which we can overcome stigma, Pranita.
Thank you. Thank you for throwing that light on that, ma'am. I mean, really interesting to know. And thank you for touching on those topics of how we can, clear the stigma around, especially with women, and how we can really work it out that way. On that note, we have our panel, third panelist for this evening, Mrs. Betty Joseph. And Betty is from Chennai, and she's sitting right from Chennai and connecting with us. Betty is a Chief Operating Officer of Strongbox IT, a cybersecurity company in Chennai. Betty runs this company along with her husband in Chennai, and she has a MSW degree. That's interesting to note. And she's also been involved with various organizations called Lead Talks and Generosity Path. And she's been actively involved and associated with Beauty for Ashes, a project that helps women from broken homes. And she's passionate about helping people out and reaching out to people. And Betty has 3 beautiful daughters. And at this time, I would hand this time to Betty. Betty, if you could just share a few thoughts on why mental health again, your thoughts about why is it important, and followed by one question that might be interesting to many of our viewers. And at this note, I want to tell our viewers, if you can please write in your name, your email ID, and your phone number also in the chat box, or just your name and your email ID, or your location from where you're joining from. That would be great for us. Maybe, yeah, phone numbers and email IDs you may not be wanting to, but that would be great if you can have your name and at least from where you're joining from. That'll be great for us. Betty, the question is, what role does social media? And I think Nirupama ma'am touched on that. What is the role that social media and technology play in shaping women's perceptions of themselves with regards to mental health? A little light has been thrown already. What will be your take on this?
Before I get into it, thank you, Pranita, for having me here. This is a wonderful initiative, something that is very important, and people need a safe space to speak their minds. This is something that is lacking, and I believe although there is a stigma associated with mental health and words like that, the biggest reason why people fail to speak about it is they have not identified a safe space where they can just go and speak whatever they are going through. There is a lot of fear, apprehensions as to what's going to happen, who's going to think what, is this person related to me, can I speak to my family, what will they think about me? So many questions a person goes through even while they're going through a lot of difficulties personally. I think, a place like Ananth Jeevan where people can come and actually speak is the most needed at this hour. Now, talking about mental health, for me, I personally believe mind over matter. A sound body and a sound mind, yes, but then I also believe that mind has a greater um, impact on the body as well. Now, can you, in a healthy body, does a healthy body affect and have an impact on your mind? Probably yes, but then if your mind is totally disturbed, it definitely affects your body. So if you have to pay a lot of attention to your mental health, even if you want to stay healthy. There is this saying where most people are in therapy because people who need therapy don't go to therapy. Sadly, that is the case in many people's lives. Actually, there are people who go through a lot of difficulty and they refuse to approach people where they can avail help. They don't do it, so it makes life difficult for so many people around them. If we can identify and if we have the courage to actually go and speak about what troubles us, I think halfway through your conversation, you'll find out what needs to be done and you can actually fix it. So mental health, although it affects just you personally, it also affects your family. It affects people at large in your society where you work and so many things like that. And especially women, I think we tend to go through a lot of difficulties because of the multiple roles that we play. Also, I have noticed that in recent times, the one of the biggest reasons is we have set high expectations out of ourselves. We think we have to hold it together. We want to be resilient. But I'm telling to the women out there who are even listening, it's okay to break down. You're human. You're human, and so you will break and you will require help. You will need a helping hand once in a while. You don't have to be so resilient all the time. It's okay to break. And the first step towards healing is accepting that you are going to struggle a bit. As long as you're here, life will throw curveballs at you. But then you will also have a way out all the time. God gives us the grace to go through situations, and He will always provide a way out of difficulties if we are able to speak to the right person, if we are able to accept the situation for what it is and navigate through life with help. I'm sure all of us will make it much better. This has been my approach to life. I don't believe in a rosy picture. It is going to be difficult. Always, at every stage, we will be facing difficulties according to the day and age, but then there is always a way out. And as women, I think since we deal in words more and emotions, we should find a way to address what we go through. And talking about social media, I think this also has a greater impact on women, especially women and children. I think we have I would say that we have a curated perception about perfection. We want social media has thrust it upon us. We subscribe to so many channels. We look at people. We have certain standards to live up to, and we are therefore put under unknowingly and subconsciously. We go through a lot of pressure to attain that level of perfection. We want our lives to be a certain way, even food for that matter. You watch a lot of food blogs and you want to cook a certain way, but we have to accept that whatever you see on social media is a result of so much of hard work somebody else has already put in. You might not be in a stage in life where that person would have put in probably 5 years of hard work to get there. But then you're seeing them now at a perfect stage and you cannot attain that perfection right away. You'll have to walk the journey to get there. But we get frustrated. We do a certain bit of piece of work and then we want to attain that level of perfection. And it puts you in a lot of pressure that way. This is what I see in young people these days in terms of fitness and in terms of beauty standards. There is so much of pressure to live up to a certain standard. And that puts a stress and a strain on yourself, and this translates into every aspect of our life is what I'll say. But then it also has its positives as well. Social media definitely has a certain positive side. There are so many people, like how Nirupama had just mentioned, there are people who have openly discussed about what they go through and a way out. If we are able to relate to it, if you are able to identify where you can learn from them, that is a better thing. And then I also noticed another pitfall with social media is cyberbullying and harassment that people go through, women especially in social media. And then there is the fear of missing out. There is this concept called FOMO that people have. They are attached to social media because they just don't want to miss out on anything. These are few factors that have been creating a lot of mental stress in women, in younger women especially. They are glued to social media, and technology has taken over their life in a very negative way, causing a lot of disruption in their regular work. And I think this is something that's going to be there for a long time, because with the influx of so much of news and action, not in real life, people don't live life in reality. Everybody is living it in social media. You have to put out a post every day. You have to have a story every other day, and then you can't repeat your clothes on your story. The list is endless. It elevates your stress to a very high level, is what I feel, because I see a lot of young people here, even in my workplace. Um, they are different. They become different once they get into social media. Seems to have a huge effect on them. And how do we deal with it? We have to understand that what we see on social media is definitely not the truth. It's definitely not the truth. And there is no way that anyone can have a certain life like that. If you see somebody, a huge influencer, there is a lot of work that goes in there. It's not reality. And we should treat entertainment for what it is. I believe it's just entertainment. You need not become our reality.
Right.
There is a lot of difference between reality and entertainment, and if people can understand that, and if they can navigate through accepting things for what it is, and this, I think, is one of the biggest causes of mental stress among women, and younger women especially.
I thank you, Betty. That's real. You just threw a lot of light on that. I would want to ask the same question to Uma ma'am and Nirupama ma'am, because in the circle, in the careers that you are in the college, you've been there for years, and in the church ministry, you must have come across so many young children or even women, older women, with the onset of social media, with the onset of Instagram and Facebook and my children tell me they are not Facebook generation, that they are Instagram generation, and that we are all Facebook generation. I can't tell the difference between the both, honestly. But how has this impacted? And could you please share with us anything that you must have faced and when you have met with anybody dealing with this issue, or who have been through, or whose mind has been really bopped with this whole social media onset? Yeah.
I agree totally with Betty from all the things that she spoke about. It's so true, like how social media affects us. I would say that social media helps us. It also, in so many different ways, it connects us to so many things. Maybe it creates awareness in different ways. But I would also say that, like some of the things that she mentioned about, and one of the things that I have noticed, especially in, the circles that I have been in, I've been dealing a lot with the students over the past 30 years, dealing with them, is the word validation. Like, especially when you come up on social media, you're looking so much at validation. You post something, it's not simply that you have posted it. You're looking at how many people have really, seen that post, how many people have accepted that post, they've liked it, or they've said something about it. Sometimes you even compare that post. The students come and sometimes they say that now they are so much more on Instagram and so many other platforms that they have. And, they're always talking about in terms of how many followers they have, and how many people they come and say that, I posted this 24 hours ago and nobody nobody has really, not many people have really liked it or they've not seen it. So you begin to imagine a lot of things that is about you. And one of the things that especially the young people and even the ones as they're growing up is the low self-esteem that is created within you. And it's nothing to do with what others think about you. That's what we always talk to the young people with whom we interact, whether it's in the church or whether it's in the college, that often you're comparing yourself with others. Instead, when you are in a group, you always think of complimenting each other, but you're talking about comparing with each other. And so that is what really causes a lot of probably heartaches for many of them. You look at somebody else's achievement, you look at somebody else's lifestyle, and you think that that is success. And then, to some extent, what Betty was talking about, this unrealistic portrayals sometimes that are there on Facebook. What they are posting on Facebook is what probably they've done in that 1 minute or 5 minutes. But what is their life the rest of the 24 hours? You're not really, thinking about those things. So these unrealistic portrayals of even beauty and success that you see, very often that is what makes you feel inadequate. But I feel that, that is what we always talk to, especially to the women when they come. Don't compare yourself with others. Each one of us are so uniquely made. God says that you are very unique. He says, I have made you in my own image, he said. And then he said that each one of you are so precious to me because he said, I have engraved you in the palm of my hand. That is what God tells each one of us. If he has engraved us in the palm of his hand, how precious we are to him. He's looking at us each time he looks at his hand. Each one of us are there in his thoughts. And so that is what should give us really the confidence that we need. That is what that should give us the encouragement, the strength that we need. So definitely I agree with Betty on things like, the many of the photos that are posted, in Facebook or in any other social media, a lot of today photo editing takes place. A lot of filters are used, especially for the images. And so it comes to again this unrealistic beauty standards that are set before us. And so when you feel that you are not able to look like whatever is posted there, that is one thing that really makes you feel that you are inadequate, or that, that also creates a lot of low self-esteem in you. Also, when others share all the time their joys, many of them feel that why is it that I'm not having anything to share? But I want to tell you that for everyone, enjoyment, joy, happiness comes in different ways. For some, it may be just going out and eating biryani. For some, eating good home cooked food, a dal and rice is something that makes you feel at home and makes you feel so joyful. But what if you posted, rice and dal on social media? Everybody would think your life is so boring. But that's what gives you so much of joy. So think, many times we are not even sitting down and thinking, what is it that gives me joy? What really gives me that joy? So that I feel the whole focus is mainly on this comparison. And like Betty very clearly spoke about, this word FOMO, where you all the time feel that you're missing out on something. You're looking all the time for validation. And that I think are things that we need to really think about. But the good point about social media, I would say the positive side about social media is that it definitely provides us access to a lot of online communities that are there, support groups that are there, like Ananth Jeevan itself. They are on Facebook, and the resources that they can provide. Maybe many times you feel, where do I don't even know how I'm going to connect. relationships can cause a lot of impact on your mental health. And keep yourself happy. What are the things that make you happy? Many of them say that a happy woman is a happy family. And so since you have such a big responsibility, I feel that all of us should really think of that and work towards strengthening our mental health.
I was counseling one girl, young girl, post-COVID, after all those days of lockdown and staying at home, she got so hooked to social media that she was continually, browsing and chatting and doing all those stuff. And when the lockdowns opened and she had to come out into the real world, she just couldn't make it. She was completely, panic stricken. Every day that she would step out of her house, she would see a person, she was getting into a panic attack. So she just came and told me that, I'm having these panic attacks and things like that. So, I mean, that's just one of the examples of how, it can negatively impact her. So one thing that I told her, like Uma ma'am and Betty also were mentioning, that there are positive sides of looking at social media. Social media is just a tool. We can use it positively or negatively. So I told her, why don't you become a campaigner for people going through things like this? So you use social media to campaign. You use it to talk about issues like this, or you reach out to help. And yes, like Ananth, Jeevan, there are so many good places where you can actually engage and utilize social media in a very positive way. Then that will not only benefit you, but it will benefit people around you as well, your family, your friends, and to whomever you really want to benefit. You can refer them to platforms like this, or so many ways are there to use it positively. So not just branding social media as a negative thing, but looking at it as a tool to use it positively, using it as a tool to make as much positive influence as possible is one of the things, like ma'am and Betty also mentioned. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that aspect, Nirupama ma'am, because really we can take social media as a positive tool, like Ananth Jeevan itself now. All our information is there on all social media handles. You all can go to Facebook, you go to LinkedIn, you're on Instagram. We have websites in 8 different languages. We have an app in 10 different languages. Please, I would like you all to please go subscribe download our app, and you will see the wonderful things that you can use the app for. It's there available on all the stores. You can please right away, you can go and download the app. And thank you for touching on that aspect of pandemic, because Ananth Jeevan was birthed right after the second wave I forgot about the term wave that we used to call. I don't want to call that term again at all, honestly. So after the second wave, what we realized is way back in 2021, there was an onset, there was a rise in a lot of increase in mental health cases, especially among teenagers and among women. I mean, newspapers were all over with so much of issues that people were facing with mental health. And that's when we thought that we need to do something in this aspect. And that's how Ananth Jeevan was birthed on October 10th, exactly on World Mental Health Day 2021, we launched Ananth Jeevan. What do we do? What's our vision? The vision of Ananth Jeevan is offering hope and life in its fullness to people with mental health issues. So we focus mainly on mental health issues, how we can help you overcome them, how we can help you handle those issues. And thankfully, all our panelists have thrown some light about identifying where we are. That's something that some people don't even know. We all think we are going through mental health problem. They may be somewhere, but it may not be a mental health issue at all. So we've come there to address that issue, help you all navigate through that. That's the vision of Ananth Jeevan. And 3 main areas that we are focusing on is awareness, education, and counseling. We go to various schools and colleges. We create awareness. We do awareness programs with them. We do awareness sessions with them. We do some tests with them, and just to find out where the mental health levels are. We have some standardized tests that we have. We go and give it to the students so that they can take those tests and find out. We've been to various schools and colleges. Many schools and colleges were gracious enough. They said, yeah, this is a need. But sometimes due to various academic pressures that they are in, they're not able to fill in and give us some time. but thankfully some schools and colleges are generous. We did that. So one of the areas, awareness, education. If you go onto our website, you will see a lot of courses that are there. Get to add some more courses there. A lot of courses that we can take. Some even educational courses that teachers or counselors can take and help. That will help in helping the students. And of course, counseling. And we just flashed it on the screen. Our helpline number. We have a helpline number. The helpline starts at 9 in the morning right now till 9 in the evening. 9063-533-826. Please make a note of this number. You can call this number from morning 9 to evening 6. And there's a WhatsApp number 766-1951-444. You can message that if you want to take an appointment for your counseling. If you want to direct that, the WhatsApp number, you can just message that number you want for any counseling appointment, or you want to meet up with somebody, talk to somebody, you can go. And on the website itself, we have a space where you can go and take an appointment with our counselors, talk to one of us, and you can choose various options where you can take for counseling. And we have various counselors. And like we said, we have various languages as we speak. It's not just about English. We have counselors in Telugu. We have counselors in our national language, Hindi. We have counselors in Tamil as well, and in Hindi. So the other languages, we are looking at volunteers and counselors coming on board. At this point in time, as we speak, we have counselors who are able to help us. Right now, even as we speak, if anyone is having an issue, please dial those numbers, connect with us. That's what we want to try to tell you. We are there to help you. And even as we go further in the program and discuss more, we'll take a break, not just a chai break, but we'll take a break and we'll watch a video right now, video about what we can do to help you.
Meet Sarah, a college-going teenager who, like many of her peers, faces the relentless pressure of academic performance. She's quiet and reserved, often hiding her emotional turmoil behind a smile. Little does she know that mental health awareness can make a world of difference in her life. In this video, we'll explore the significance of mental health awareness by delving into major areas of mental illness, how to detect them early, determine their extent, and take appropriate action. Sarah has been experiencing intense worry, restlessness, and an inability to concentrate on her studies. These could be signs of anxiety. Early detection involves recognizing symptoms like excessive sweating, heart palpitations, and a constant feeling of dread. Engaging in open conversations with friends or a mental health professional can help determine the extent of her suffering. Therapy, mindfulness techniques, and relaxation exercises can be effective treatments to manage anxiety. As the semester progresses, Sarah's mood seems to plummet. She's lost interest in activities she once enjoyed and finds herself withdrawing from friends and family. These classic signs of depression need immediate attention. Identifying subtle symptoms such as changes in sleep patterns and appetite can be crucial. To assess the extent of her depression, a mental health evaluation is essential. Treatment options include therapy, medication, and lifestyle changes like regular exercise and health. College life often brings an overwhelming sense of stress. Sarah's relentless academic pursuit has left her feeling exhausted and on the verge of burnout. Early detection involves recognizing signs like chronic fatigue, irritability, and a lack of motivation. Self-assessment tools and honest conversations with peers or mentors can help gauge the extent of her stress and burnout. Effective action includes time management, setting boundaries, seeking academic support, and practicing self-care. Sarah's self-esteem has taken a hit, and she's become overly concerned about her body image. Her erratic eating habits are concerning signs of a potential eating disorder. Detecting early signs like dramatic weight loss, excessive exercise, or secretive eating can be challenging but crucial. Professional assessment is necessary to determine the extent of the disorder. Treatment may include therapy, nutritional counseling, and support from loved ones. Amidst the academic pressures, Sarah starts turning to alcohol to cope. Substance abuse is a dangerous path to tread. Early detection involves recognizing signs like increased tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, and a preoccupation with obtaining substances. Assessing the extent of substance abuse often requires professional intervention. Treatment options include detoxification, therapy, support groups, and lifestyle changes. In her darkest moments, Sarah contemplates self-harm as a means of escape. These thoughts are alarming signs that require immediate attention. Early detection involves recognizing self-inflicted injuries, withdrawal from social activities, and the expression of hopelessness. Determining the extent of self-harm or suicidal thoughts is critical. Seeking professional help, such as a therapist or a crisis hotline, is essential. Treatment may involve therapy, medication, and a strong support system. Sarah's moods have been swinging from extreme highs to deep lows. These could be indicative of bipolar disorder. Early detection involves recognizing mood swings, changes in energy levels, and impulsive behavior. Professional assessment is crucial to determine the extent of the disorder. Treatment may include medication, therapy, and lifestyle adjustments. In Sarah's case, recognizing the signs of mental health issues and seeking appropriate help can be a life-changing experience. But how can we, as friends, family, or even strangers, contribute to this awareness and support system? Take the time to notice changes in someone's behavior or mood, especially if they are facing academic or personal pressures. Offer a listening ear without judgment and let them know you care. Promote an environment where discussing mental health is normalized. Encourage those struggling to seek professional help when needed. If you suspect someone is experiencing severe mental health issues, don't hesitate to recommend they consult a mental health expert. Remember, professional help is crucial for diagnosis and treatment. Recovery from mental health issues can be a long and challenging journey. Offer your unwavering support and understanding. In conclusion, mental health awareness is not just a buzzword, it's a lifeline for people like Sarah, silently battling their inner demons.
That's our video. That's about our video. Again, to reiterate, our helpline number is 90635333826. Anyone in need, please do call and seek the help that we need. And if you want an appointment or you just want to WhatsApp and give your details and get back to you, you can just send a WhatsApp message to 766-1951 and 444. And before we go further, this is one aspect that we want to just speak about. And one of our audience is asking this, and I really want to put forth this question because it's an interesting question. I'm sure our panel would love to talk about it. The person says, is gender equality an unrealistic expression? Anyone can please take it on from there.
Yeah. So she's talking about gender equality.
Yes, just saying, is gender equality an unrealistic expression?
Okay. Gender inequality definitely exists. So we cannot say that, pass it off and say that it does not exist. It definitely exists. And as much as everyone is making efforts to work towards gender equality, I believe that again, like we've been talking throughout in this, discussion, that if each of us understand who we are, because when God made man and woman, he gave each of us a role, but one person's role is not subservient to the role of the other, but everyone has a very unique role to play. If I'm trying to do the role of somebody else or somebody else is trying to do my role, I don't think that's going to really help in either me or the people who are there around me. So I would say that even though it is important when we're talking in the context of gender equality, I would say that each of us understanding who we are and what role we have to play and fulfilling that role will go a long way to give us good peace, joy, rather than fighting for some rights and other things that we often, spend our time in.
That's right.
I think I totally agree with Uma ma'am here. I think we have to accept the individuality that God has placed in each one of us. He created us as man and women, which means that we are given a set of abilities as a woman and the men have been given a certain set of abilities. If we do not function within these parameters, I think we will be missing out on what we can actually effectively contribute. I don't think, of course, there are very bad scenarios happening in the world. We live in a very fallen world, and therefore these inequalities are taken to a great extent. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just trying to say that if we can function within the sphere that God has given us and make use of the full potential that He's placed within us, I think that can bring in so much of peace to any relationship, to whatever role that you're playing. And if we are able to accept this, I think we'll excel. In fact, we don't have to fight for our right, because your right is given. What you have is your right. There is no need to fight for something that is somebody else's. Do what you can with what you have, and I'm sure that you will go places. This is my take on gender equality or inequality.
Yeah, I so agree with you, Betty ma'am. And the value that is there, in both the genders is the same. It's just the roles and the abilities and the skills that we have are different. So it's more about your perspective. If like you said, it's a fallen world. So if we get into that, thinking of who's better and things like that, then we'll end up in pain. But rather identify yourself, identify your skills. And women have multitasking abilities which men do not have, and so there are so many specific skills that we have which we need to put at use. But at the underlying in the underlying fact, I want you to remember that the value is the same. You're not of lesser value. It's only about the differences in the way we are created. So if you understand the value as well as the differences, then there is no debate about who's better and who can be better than each other and so on.
That's right, ma'am. So I so agree with this. And on that note, there was somebody who was asked us a comment saying that why men don't go undergo mental health issues? Why are we only addressing women? Please kindly note that we do understand that all of us go through mental health issues. We just go through them at various points. It's not about a man or a woman. And we want to say that we at Ananth Jeevan address all mental health issues, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman. And please note that we will not wait for an International Men's Day to have a talk on men and mental health issues. We will do it sometime sooner. We just thought it is appropriate, and always we begin with women, and it's a beautiful thing. Anyway, that's on a side note. Okay. So we just thought this was more appropriate for us to begin, because we've been planning for a long time on these series on Mind Talks. This is one of the first of its kind. And again, I encourage people to please go look at our website, download our app, please, Ananth Jeevan. You will see the symbol, the logo that's there. The same logo will be seen if you go and search for the app on all the stores. And having said that, one question that we want to ask, and before that, again, reminder for our audience, please send in your name and the location where you are from. That will be great for us. And you can ask more questions. We have some more time. Right? But there's one important question that's always bothered me. And that's a question that I always tackle with. I'm sure you, all the panel and everybody watching, many women will agree. Women as such, okay, we juggle with so many things. And, even as we sit here, I'm sure all of us, our mind is back at our home, what's going on with our children, whether the house is in order. And then some of us are not knowing, some of us are focused on what's going on at work. There's so much going on. I mean, you guys ma'am is a principal, and there's a head of an organization, somebody who's pastoring a church, so many responsibilities. How can women balance the demands? I know we can't balance everything. I always struggle. I personally, honestly, struggle with that. I'm not able to do 100%. Somewhere something falls off. Somewhere something falls short of. And I think one of us really spoke about how that becomes a demand, that demands on us increase. And that's when we break down at some point in time, or we go through issues ourselves. How can women balance the demands and maintain their own mental health being? If all of you can just throw a little light, that would be great.
Pranita, to answer this, I think first thing that we need to understand is we have to remove that superwoman tagline that we all want to achieve. Take it out of the vocabulary. No, none of us are super women. We are women. We are people. We have different roles to play, and we have because of we are a daughter, we are a wife, we are a mother, we are a colleague, and so many things. But I believe we have to do our best at that moment where we are, right? Where now, if I am here, I got to play this role to the best of my abilities at every given point of time. Even when I interact with so many people, the only thing I tell them is do your best at that given point of time. That is the only thing you're accountable for, nothing more than that. And yes, if you do something less than that, you will feel bad. But then at that point of time, whatever you can, give it your best. If you're at home, if you're a mom, do your best. That's it. If you're at work, even if you're there for like an hour or so, no, in my case, I'm not here 8 hours. I literally cannot be here. But then the 5 or 6 hours that I'm here, I ensure that I give my time completely to work. And by the grace of God, I've been able to do it. I begin my day with a little bit of quiet time. And without God's help, definitely we cannot do it. It begins there. And I think it comes from a point of rest. Sit there, have your quiet time, and then take on the different roles that we have to play. And I'm sure people around us actually give us the space to fail a bit. It's only we ourselves who have put so much of pressure on ourselves to attain a certain level of perfection that we go into the work mode. We strive so much. It's okay to once in a while take a break. I think taking a break once in a while is extremely important to be able to juggle things efficiently. We take on roles, so I think it's a God given, like we were talking about equality and inequality. I think this is something that God has given us, the ability to handle many things at the same time. We are able to compartmentalize in our heads and look at things for what it is. This is an ability that God has given us. If we can identify that particular ability and put in our effort there, I think it makes things easier.
Yes, when it comes to this superwoman image, for some time I struggled with that initially when I had kids, and I was trying to please my husband, my kids, do everything, do my church stuff, and I was not so willing to let my image down, and I was not so willing to even take help from anybody else, because what would my in-laws think, and this and that, so many things were there. So slowly I helped myself unlearn many things. I started taking help from others. I used to ask other women, I used to like humble myself and ask other women, what are you doing, how do you manage with your kids, how do you do things? And it's okay, there are seasons in life when we don't do things perfectly. Maybe my children are not getting all the grades in school for probably, but yeah, it's okay for some time, as long as I'm putting good values in them, good character in them, and praying for them. Maybe there are ups and downs, but learn to accept it. That's how I actually dealt with these things when it comes to multitasking, and that's what I tell the other women also. Take help. I mean, if you really need to get a maid and get her to do some basic chores at home, nothing wrong. There is this stigma about having maids also, having cooks. I'm not saying that everybody should go and get some maid or a cook or something, but if you're able to do that, and if it calls for it for at least a season, get help. So that's what I learned, and not trying to keep up this image of being a superwoman, that I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that, and I'm good at everything. So nobody is there to reward us. At the end of the day, if my health is failing, or if I am not at my best, then I am not doing justice to my family, or to myself, or to my church, or to wherever I am serving. So taking care of my health also is most important, is what I realized when it comes to doing everything. Yeah.
Right, that's right.
just like to add, Pranita, to what Betty and Papa have added. I really feel that I think sometimes we have a lot of unrealistic goals also that
That's
we
right.
set sometimes
Mm.
in life. Like very rightly Betty said, we call ourselves, we think at least we are super women. So when we set unrealistic goals, when we say unrealistic goals, again, it's to do with the societal pressures that are there. Like, especially if you're a working woman, you are working at home, you're working outside. I think there are certain things like you need to set boundaries. You need to know when you should say no, because everyone calls you, everyone asks you to come here or go there. And I know that, probably, Nirupama will also accept. Even my husband is a pastor, so I know that every time everybody calls you and asks you to do something, it doesn't mean that you feel that you should say no. There are times that you have to say no. There are times that you need to realize that you will be doing it, you will be doing something else at that particular period of time, because if it leads to burnout for you, you're not going to be a blessing to anyone. But definitely, like Betty said, with God's help, without his help, because every morning I want to really encourage all the women, our strength comes from him, because very beautifully it says the verse, my strength comes from God. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I believe that saying all these things also gives you so much of strength. And coming back to that one minute that I want to just take to tell you about unrealistic, we are everything that we do, that we do in life, we have some standard that is there before us, and we think we
Yeah.
have to achieve that. I was just thinking when we were, now we are married for 30 years, my husband and I. But when we were much younger, a young couple with two little children, definitely your finances are not very, sound as it is today. You have a lot of, challenges that you have. How do you face them all? Because I want to tell you, finances can be one of the biggest stress that you go through if you don't manage your finances well. And that's where I really realized that, as the children were growing up, what is it that is most important? Like very rightly Nirupama said, we realized that we needed a help, to for us, so if you're going to afford the to pay for that help, to help take care of the kid, to help take care of some of the chores that are there in the house, there are some things that you need to cut down. For example, why have a very lavish, first birthday if you cannot afford that? What happens when you have something so lavish, and then you are ending up in debts, and again you're ending up with a lot of stress? It's okay if people think that you have little money, but your joy of just maybe cutting one cake and celebrating with your family is great. You don't have to every time wear the best of clothes. You wear good clothes that are comfortable for you, that's fine. That is what I call as prioritizing. If you're able to prioritize, that gives you a lot of peace. All the time we blame external factors for the disturbance of our peace and our health, but many times we could be the culprits. If we set realistic goals and we are not having too many demands making on ourselves and our family members too, and taking good care of our finances and living within our budget, that also will give a lot of peace to us.
Thank you, ma'am. I mean, thank you all of you all for actually. I want to ask one question that I know I'm glad you all just put those tiny bits there, seeking help, even in terms of house help that we can have to lighten that burden on ourselves. I want to ask you these questions, in the culture that we live in the setup, most of our Indian setup, most of the time we are like, oh, our parents were like this, our mothers were not able to do it. Or sometimes in some homes I've known older people saying that we manage so much. Why you guys are not able to manage even the least things? I think, do you think that having expectations like this, not just self-expectation, sometimes we may not have, but the expectation that has been pushed, that you are not able to do even the least that we were able to do. Like some people will say, we took 3 buses to go to our workplace. You guys are just going in the car and still you're having issues. You all are sitting in the AC still having an issue. I mean, how do you really face the challenges? And in joint families that people live in sometimes, they really can't talk back or tell anything. But do you think that's a pressure? And if y'all can share just a few tidbits on how do we really get over that within in the in families.
Yeah, definitely. When you compare the older times, uh, maybe our mothers were not working mothers, and so they had more time. And and if you're, and it was a single income those days, only the father was earning, and so definitely they didn't really think in terms of a lot of amenities that we are looking for now. And so since we are having more income now, and we are able to afford it, we don't have to feel guilty about having some of the amenities. We don't have to feel guilty. What if I am trying to prove that I'm just like my mother or my mother-in-law, and finally I'm feeling so unhappy about it? That's not going to bring happiness to my family, and that's going to put so much of pressure on me. So I would say that my attitude and how I look at the things that are there around me, and how I feel that is best. And also my family, the people who are closest to me, are able to understand that. That's where I feel, Pranita, that communication is so important. Sometimes women go through so much, but they just pretend that they are able to manage it.
That's
A little
right.
bit of communication. I have seen that working so well in my life too. When I say that, I cannot do this, that really helps. I think we should start saying that I can do this, I cannot do this. And so our family members also know that we are always ready to be there when we can. And when we cannot, we should be able to say that. I think that will help a
Right.
lot in promoting peace.
On that note, ma'am, I want to ask a question. Either Nirupama ma'am or Betty, one of you can answer that question for me. How can the spouses in the household, or the parents or fathers or children in the household, how can that, we are talking about mental health issues, challenges with women, how can a male person, a spouse in this in this context, or children, how can they help alleviate this issue, or help a person going through with this issue, especially the mother or the wife, or the daughter who's going through? How can they, in their own little ways, communication is one aspect. Thank you, ma'am, for talking about it. How can they help? What are the small ways? Sometimes, we think that that's their job. What can we do? And sometimes they just overlook it. But what are the small things? Maybe they don't have to do a lot of things, but what are the small one or two steps that they can do or take to help women go through these challenges?
From like I would say, rightly as Uma ma'am said, that communication is crucial for a woman not to burn out. Unless she expresses, it will be understood that she is fine because she's handling so many things on her own. So it will always be understood that she is capable. So communicating that I have an issue, I cannot do beyond this, and this is burning me out, that itself is a good step. And later it again comes to maybe the husband and the children also, the closest family members, the near and dear, should actually, I think the woman should give them a little bit of allow them to do small little things around in the house, even when she is good, even when she is able to do it, not when she is not able to do it, so that it'll form an expectation, or it'll form a kind of a habit in them that they need to be around for her. It's not just you throw it on her and leave her to do things herself, so that when there is a time when, or a season when she is not able to do it, then they can't even come and help her because they are not equipped to do that. So most often, I think the woman doesn't allow the husband or the children to do it because they don't do it well. They don't do it as perfectly as her. They'll only end up messing things up. So I was a part of this. Now I'm not. I have learned. So yeah, I let them do small little things, even when things are going well, even when I'm not under stress. So that when a time comes when I have to multitask or do something, I'm not around, they can do it themselves. So I think
I am glad you said that. We all said that we have set unrealistic expectations, like, men not going to the kitchen, or, let them mess up and let them clean up again, right?
Actually, we don't give even children too much credit. Actually, we
Mm,
think now for in my case, I've always had this feeling. I have three girls, so I think it's only now that I can, they can sit without doing anything. Eventually they'll get married and they'll have so many things to do. Let me pamper them. That
yes.
is the mindset that I have. But I've realized that when I give them the space to actually help me, it fosters a very healthy relationship. And even they learn up growing that, yes, mama needs the space. She is burnt out. She is tired. Now I have to help. It actually makes them feel so good that they are able to help you.
Yes.
They actually turn out just fine, and we have to give them more credit for that. When you give them responsibilities and when you see them grow in it, it works both ways. You're happy that you're raising them as good people who will later be responsible individuals. At the same time, there is a certain load off your shoulders on a regular day as well. You don't, like how Nirupama just said, you don't have to wait till you're sick to make them do
Right.
something. If you're able to have them as part of your, helping you every day, it's a beautiful thing. Actually, it actually elevates your mental health.
I think that's so right, Betty. I think the onus is on us as women to let people do, even if they mess up, to clean up the mess. And that's very interesting, because I think most of the time we think that it's only about us. Sometimes you just leave it to them and they will. To all the women who are listening to us right now online, just relax today, take a deep breath, let the men get into the kitchen today to cook a good meal for you. Let them mess up the kitchen, let them clean up the messed up kitchen, not a problem at all. If it is a good day to start, it is today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till the next New Year to take a resolution that I'll allow my man or my children to cook. But that's an interesting note. I think, yes, sometimes we take the onus of doing it all by ourselves. And we want to look at picture perfect. On that note, I remember one of our lecturers in way back in college, Uma must be knowing, Mrs. Supriya. She used to think, we used to look at these ads on the TV, and she used to come, we spoke about modern language, English literature, women. She said, I mean, how can they show women in the kitchen all dressed up and neat and tidy? I said, yeah, we can't dress up and neat and tidy. She's like, but that's unrealistic. That set a thought in my mind back then, years back. And, I'm so right. We set the sector. We think we have to look like that. I mean, imagine a house full of children. You think it's going to look spick and span. Sometimes when I do my work, I'm like, how are the other women keeping the house so clean when I'm not able to do it? It need not be like that. I think that's the expectation. I'm so glad that we could speak about. And again, for all those who are listening, please take a break. You can just relax. If your house is messy, let it be messy for a day and let others clean it up for us. Sometimes it's good to take rest rather than fall sick and come to a break point. And if there's anybody who's going through that break point right now, we encourage you. Please connect, call, talk. We are there to listen to you, to talk to you, to help you come out of whatever situation you are in, especially if you think you're going through a mental health crisis, if you think you don't know what to do, if you think you don't know where to go to, please remember we are there to help you. Please call our helpline. We are flashing that number again, 9063 533 826. Please call. If you can't call and talk, you don't want to, text that number, 766 1951 444. That's our WhatsApp number. Message it. Any language. We had a request right now saying it. Is it only English? No. Like I shared earlier, sharing it again. We are in Telugu. We can help you with Telugu language. We can communicate with you in Hindi and Tamil. And we will seek help if you need any other help languages also. So please don't hesitate. On that note, one little break. If all of you are sitting and watching, take a 2 minutes break. I know we're all sitting and gluing to our phone or to the TV set, whichever you're logged in, I'm not sure, on our computers. Take a 2 minutes. Why don't you take your phone right now? Go down to your Play Store, iPhone store. Just log in. Download the Ananth Jeevan app. I have it already. I will show you how it looks. It looks exactly this way. It will help you now. Can you see my phone? Yeah. When you open it, it'll be like that. And because I've already logged in before with my number, it will not ask me for more details. Log in. It will encourage you to take tests. It will have a screening test there. Take your screening tests, answer your questions. It will have even some space where you can track down activities that you can do. There are many things that you can go. Yes, we are doing a whole lot of things. We keep changing a lot of things on the app. But for those who want to go, and please go ahead, I encourage you, go take a look at the app, take the test down, know where you are. And if you need help again, there are ways to connect with us to seek help. One question before we take some questions from the floor again. There's one question that I would really ask our panel again about societal expectations and things like that. But one major issue that we are finding, I know we don't have a doctor on board right now, but I would really like to, women going in their late 40s or early 50s, when they go through all these bodily changes, especially with menopause and things like that happening, do they have challenges? And if they have challenges, if you can just throw some light, and how can they seek help, and then how can we address that issue as well?
This is one issue that they call it as midlife crisis and things like. But it's a bodily change that is happening, the hormonal changes that are taking place, and definitely, like we've been talking throughout, whatever happens in your body affects your mind. And so to all the women who are probably in this age, because I understand what it is to be in that you need to really understand that this is unique for all the women that go through this. And so it's not something that only you go through it. And if even if you are putting on more weight because of the hormonal imbalances that are there, there is always medical help that is there, that can help you to correct these things. And if it persists too, if your health is good and you're doing good, but it's just that you have put on some weight, it'll take some time for that weight to reduce. That should not in any way make you feel, especially low self-esteem, because like we've been talking throughout that the society has portrayed women as how they should look and what should be their figure. And, these are the things that have made us. But if you don't have any health issues and you're feeling good, you just need to have that kind of the joy of being who you are. I think that is the most important thing. But if there are a lot of struggles that you're having in your health, many times we say this is part of life and leave it. But just one visit to the doctor will really help you, because they will help you to go through this phase of life very smoothly. And I think that every woman should really know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That's so true. We go to different stages of life and different stages, and I think each woman again goes through it differently. Sometimes we can't really compare notes and say, "Oh, you've been through that at this age. I'm not. I'm going through a different stage, but it's different for me." We can never compare notes, and sometimes we compare notes, and that's when the guilt trips in again for us, saying that, "Oh, why am I feeling that way and somebody else?" I had this issue for a few months ago when I was going through one issue. I felt, "Oh, am I the only one who's going through?" But when you actually look around, there are so many people who are going through the same issue, and maybe a little tagged differently than what we are going through. But I'm glad we have help. I'm glad we can go reach out to people. And again, I want to really encourage you, women, if you're going through a crisis and if you're not knowing where to reach out again, please reach out to us. We have different levels of counseling right here in Ananth Jeevan. We have a basic level counseling, because sometimes some people don't even understand what they're going through. It may not be a mental health issue after all. It may be just some other challenge that we are going through that may become a mental health issue, severe issue later on. We can help you at that basal level also. And we can help at a chronic level also. We have psychotherapeutic counselors within our team who can help you. So do connect to us. Do not hesitate. Like all our panelists said, and I would again endorse on that, communication is the key. And that's the thing that we need to do. And at this note, I really would once again like to thank Dr. Mrs. Uma Joseph for joining us. She needs to leave right now. She has another engagement. But ma'am, thank you so much. So valuable to have you on with us for a little while at least. But I'm so glad, and a happy Women's Day again to you and to all ladies out there. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a great joy sharing the platform with Betty and Nirupama and you. Yeah, please continue with this very, very beautiful conversation that you're having. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. God bless you, ma'am. Good evening.
Thank you.
On that note, I really want to say another interesting thing that we have done at Ananth Jeevan. We have something called an activity center right here at Begumpet. We have an activity center What do we do at an activity center? That looks like the very name sounds like a play school activity center, but no, it's not a play school activity center. Yes, we do a lot of play things there, fun stuff there. We come together, meet once a week, twice a week, thrice a week. We come learn together. There are people who come learn music together there. Sometimes we come together to learn artwork there. Some people just come together to sit and have a conversation there. So everybody listening out there, we have a space. You want to learn an art. You want to just come and talk to somebody there. You want to just come and spend time reading something there, or learning a new thing, or talking to somebody, or meeting with a group of friends to talk something about. Please know we have an activity center right here. So if you want to know more, you can call us at that number 766-195-444 and know more details on that. And also you can email us at hello@anandjeevan. It's hello, Hello, at anandjeevan.in. On that note, again, one question that I have for Betty and for Nirupama ma'am. We spoke about family members being able to support and things like that. How can women, sometimes we struggle with taking help. Like we said, we think we are very self-reliant. In your own ways of helping people you must have in the past, which you're doing currently, what are the steps should a woman take in order to seek that help? It's hard. Like we said, we just can't overnight. People are not ready to come and seek help. What are the small steps that they can do in order to seek help when they see signs and symptoms? Or let's go back again or say, what are those signs and symptoms that women should be aware of, knowing that there's a mental health issue, that there is this issue which can trigger off into something that is more severe and that I need to seek help. And then we go to point number 2. Ma'am, are you there? Yeah.
I would, like you said, yes, when should a woman actually start, thinking about maybe looking out for help or reaching out for help?
Yes.
The first thing I would say is not to go on the internet and start reading about it. Because, there is a lot of stuff out there. Everything has a context. So
Yes.
if you go and read things out of context, then I don't know, in the stress, probably she might end up reading conclusions which she shouldn't. So it's always good to, maybe I think journaling will also help. Just journaling her thoughts and writing things down, and then look at the thoughts which she has written last week and look at them, compare them with what she's been writing in the past 2-3 days or this week, and compare and see if there is something really not probably something that is not right. That rings a bell actually, because unless she goes and speaks to somebody else who can tell her what is right and wrong, on her own, I think journaling actually starts. Being honest, even while she is journaling, being honest, is this what I'm feeling or is this what is going on? So differentiating those things and being very honest with herself. I think these are certain things, or even asking a family member that, do you see any change in the way I am looking at things, or the way I'm handling things or responding to things? Maybe checking with a family member or a trusted friend. That's also one of the ways. And sleep, lack of sleep also, not being able to sleep. It's not about not having time to sleep. It's like, suppose you have, you don't have time, but you're sleepy, that's good. But if you have time and you're not able to sleep, then that's one of the signs that you need to look out for. So I think these are common things that we need to look at, and if the whole world looks like everybody is wrong, everybody is trying to hurt me, then it's probably not the whole world. Maybe it is you who needs to check. Sometimes there are seasons. I'm not saying that people don't hurt or people don't, do that. But if you're becoming critical about everything that's going on around you, the same things which were okay for you some time back, but now those things really are becoming very big, and you're going on thought spirals. Your thoughts are not, coming down. They are only spiraling and spiraling. So I think these are small little things where we need to be little alert and just check what's going on. So then they would and talk to it about somebody trustworthy. Or if they don't have somebody, then, and yes, Ananth, Jeevan, you're there to help and guide such people, is what I think. According to me, I think this is what they can look out for.
Yeah, so adding to what Nirupama ma'am said, I think sleep is a very good indicator, and appetite also, appetite, suddenly either you start eating a lot or your appetite completely drops. And these are primary indicators. Sleep is
Yes.
a great indicator for any psychological change or distress that you're going through. Adding to that, also, I think withdrawal symptoms, where you kind of withdraw from your social circle, you don't want to meet people, you want to be at home, you refuse to leave home. The very thought of meeting a lot of people actually scares you. You're not yourself, you're nervous just in case you meet people also. I've noticed there are times when I have felt ups and downs, and during my times when I was feeling really low, I literally run the other way when I see people I know. We don't want to meet them, we don't want to be a part of happy conversations. These are big red flags that we have to watch out for, to identify whether we are going through a slight mental disturbance. It may not be a mental issue, but then a very temporary disturbance that you're going through in your mind at that moment can make you want to stay away from all this. But then I also believe that speaking about it and addressing it actually will stop it from becoming a bigger issue. That's where I think we have to stress the importance of being aware and communicating about what we feel, to prevent smaller disturbances into escalating into something really big. Also, like how Nirupama ma'am said, going to Google to understand things actually complicates things,
Yes.
because Google will only tell you based on what you ask. So if you're going to ask, am I depressed? You will end up being depressed, because it will tell you all the symptoms that you're going through. Probably they'll throw in a couple of jargons. This is this behavior, this is that pattern. Sometimes we wouldn't even be experiencing all that. We'll start imagining it in our head, and actually we will manifest those symptoms. So never trust Google or AI also, for that matter. Just go to a friend, speak about it. Sometimes while you're talking itself, things will be in perspective, and you will be able to actually find solutions to what you're going through. Communication is the key at any given point of time. Find somebody who will tell you, right, this is right and this is wrong, who will patiently listen and say, find your safe space and speak about it there, and then probably proceed from there, would be my advice.
That's right. I think the first thing that anybody does is so very natural. It comes like an instinct for many of us. We go through a symptom, we just Google there. Google is the all and end all of our issues. And like you said, sometimes we may go into a deeper depression mode. But I'm a psychology student myself. I remember when we were studying way back in college. I mean, when we used to read, why am I saying this? When we used to read those illnesses, about those illnesses, sometimes we used to feel like, oh God, all these symptoms looks like I'm going through the same. So we should tell our sister, we had two nuns who used to teach us psychology in France. So we said, sister, everything, it seems like I'm going through this. Then she said, no, that's not like that. Everybody feels that we are going through that. But these are extreme psychotic cases. You may feel because you're studying, going through that stress of here and there. But no, don't worry, child. You're not going through that at all. But again, like I said, when we go read some things online, because we don't have an understanding of it, or we don't know what it is in its entirety, and we take that little wee bit of one sentence and we think that's what's happening to us. And I'm glad we are speaking about it. And those of you who are hearing, we would urge you once again, please don't approach Google to analyze your issue. Come to the experts, approach the right people. If you have somebody you can go and talk about it. And like we said, if you don't have anybody to talk to, we are here to listen to you. And that's what we want to emphasize time and again. Women out there, we are here to listen to you. We have expert counselors on board. We will help you in the area of need. If we think we cannot help you in the area of need, we will suggest you the correct help that you can go and take help from. Obviously, sometimes we may not have the answers for all your problems, but we will surely help you and take you and lead you to the right person whom you can take help with. to note again, we have psychotherapeutic counselors also. Men who are listening to the show right now, or listening or live, or don't want to even admit that listening to, please note that if you know of any of these symptoms that we were speaking about in the call today, in the conversation today, if you think your spouse or your mom or your daughter or your sister or your colleague or anybody whom you know is going through these symptoms, please don't rule it out or don't brush it out. Go seek help, talk to them. And on Women's Day today, even as we speak about, don't have to give flowers or anything. Take time to talk to your spouse. Take time to speak to your sister or your mother or your daughter or your colleague. I think taking time out to listen speaks volumes for what we do. Like we said about communication, can you tell us about some stories or something that you've known about how communicating or talking to, just normally sitting and talking, really calm down people and help them get out of the stress or that mental health issue that they were going through?
I keep meeting a lot of people, and generally, I don't want to take any specific examples, but most often, when it comes to women particularly, I've heard, them complaining about, they come to me complaining about probably one issue. Maybe it's an issue with her finances or issue with how to deal with her, handling, balancing between home and work or something. She comes with that issue, but she ends up sharing a lot of other things, and then putting everything in words actually, makes her, like Betty also was mentioning, that, putting everything into words really makes her feel light. And at the end of the conversation, she says, ma'am, I think after I shared all this with you, everything looks so simple. It doesn't look as much, it doesn't look all that serious also now that I shared it with you. So, they themselves arrive at probably a solution also, that, how this should be done, with a few more questions from my side, or with a few more helping statements from my side. She can actually put things in perspective and, help herself out there. So it's more about, talking it out. So I think this happened most often, not in every case, but most often that's what happens. So had she actually discussed it with somebody else also, she would have had, maybe with her husband, she would have had help. So speaking out really makes the person light, helps her put things in perspective, because suppose I give her, like half an hour to speak. So within half an hour, she has to put all her situations into that. So she actually tries to, prioritize and put things, and she doesn't want to use, negative words about anybody. So she tries to say the right things.
Right.
And by saying the right thing, she's actually being led to, think the right thing. So that happens very often. So communication is the key.
On that note, one question that I have from a viewer: what difference do you think a mentally healthy mother, Betty, if you can answer the question for us, what difference do you think a mentally healthy mother make on the family's present and the future? We know the answer, but I would love to listen from you, please.
Yes, you know the answer. Mentally healthy person is somebody who can bring happiness and retain it. There is within a family, all of us go out every day. We are exposed to so many elements in, be it children, they go to school, they meet people from different families. They are exposed and they go through a certain level of stress by themselves, and at workplace. We all are exposed to so many things. But then when the mom or the wife is going to be at a very balanced state, this definitely adds to or further breaks down what they're going through. It definitely has a huge impact, because the minute they come home, they actually run home just so they can take it off their chest and give it to you. They just need someone to listen to, and you just have to listen to them, what happened through the entire day, and at the end of it, they look at you, they want you to say something, add to it. Okay, did I do the right thing, mama? Was this right? And if you are not in a place where you can tell them, hey, yeah, this is okay, this is right, this is wrong, this could have been better, or if whatever is that they need to listen, if you are not in a space to give them that comfort, I think that is when they resort to many other things themselves, be it children or anybody else in the family. If you are going to be there and if you are going to be the safe space for them to come and discuss their day, that is the best you can do for your family. And then, and as women and as mothers and as spouses, if we are able to do this, I think we can handle most of the issues that our families probably would be exposed to, are stopped right there. Just being available for them. If we ourselves are in a state where we are confused, I think it makes things difficult, especially for children. Especially for children, because I've heard children say, come on, I am the child, I cannot be the adult here. I need you to be the adult. So sometimes children want you to have clear values. Children want you to have a clear perception about things, so that they want you to say no to certain things that they might ask you. Actually, I've heard this say, Mama, I wanted you to say yes or no. Don't leave me hanging out there. It makes a lot of difference for them just to hear you say no. They know that, they're not supposed to do certain things, but they want you to say no audibly. So if you're in a right mental space, and if you're able to give them that particular time and that particular space for them to be able to have this conversation, it changes a lot of decisions for them. This is the biggest thing I have seen in the recent times. I have experienced it myself, being at the right mind, because we spend very little time at home. When we are awake, all of us are outside. There is very little time that we actually spend at home. And if within that space and time, if we are going to be confused and if we are going to be preoccupied with so many other things, I think we are doing injustice to the family, actually.
Yes, that's right.
Especially to children, because you're robbing them of that space.
Yeah, I think it's time, rightly said, Nirupama ma'am, Betty, and thank you, Nirupama ma'am, actually. Well, I think it's time that we make a decision of addressing our issues and not putting them under the carpet, or, just ignoring them sometimes. Maybe because of lack of time, or we think we are in a hurried world. We live in a hurried world, all of us, from one meeting to another, from one place to another, juggling so many things. But I think, like you said, I think one of the takeaways is, sometimes saying no to some things, or being firm on certain decisions that we take, be it our parent or a spouse or our children or our colleagues. Sometimes it takes a lot of ourselves to say no, or to be firm on our decisions. But I think as women, we tend to give in because we think, oh yeah, this is my job, I need to do it, or who else can do it apart from us. But I think the day we say no, and be no, not in a negative term, but a no in terms of for our own well-being, and for the well-being, I think, of people around us. Because I think the more we tend to give in to people all the time, it becomes a habit. And when we say a no at some point in time, they don't take it well. But because they are not going to take it well, please, I think we should say a no now. It's okay, even if we have crossed that line and say, oh no, my children are grown up, I don't know how they will understand. Oh, it's been so many years of marriage, I don't know whether my spouse will understand. But I think it's time that we actually take a stand. And like we said, if we want a bright, good future for our own families, for our own selves, and for our children as well, because for moms or for ladies, our families matter a lot. I think our mental health well-being is so important for us. And even as we speak, again, I want to note down, our helpline is there for a call. As we are doing this work, we've been doing this from 2021. We need a lot of volunteers. We really need a lot of help to go around talking to schools and colleges with our awareness programs. I know there are so many certified counselors out there who can actually come on board and help us. You can please visit our webpage. There is a page where you can log in, and you can go in and register yourself and as a volunteer. And there are many areas that you can volunteer with. When we say volunteer, it just means coming and helping us out. No, we have many areas of volunteering. Volunteering in terms of, even writing content for us, or volunteering in terms of going and visiting schools and colleges, volunteering in terms of social media. and IT. There's so many areas you can volunteer and help us with. And we have even time specifics. I know all of us are busy, but if we can take at least about an hour or two every day or every week, if you have very little time, and some of us can volunteer and say, I want to come and sit in an activity center, teach people a new skill or something like that. We are open and we would love to have you on board for us. So please go register yourself on the volunteer page. If you are a certified counselor, please go and register yourself on the counselor page. We had requests coming in saying that, can we have the same format in other languages? Yes, be a little patient with us. We will have more of these coming up in various other languages as well. Even as we sit here, we have somebody in the local language who knows the local language sitting here on our panel, and we have somebody who's from another language altogether, another state altogether right here with us. So yes, we will have these mind talks going on in various other languages, and we have counselors, like I said, in various other languages as well. On that, one last question again, like I said, again, they want me to, my team is telling me, yes, we have a website in 8 different languages. We are our app on 10 different languages. Go access all the tools and resources that we have. You have any questions, you have an email that you can write into hello@ananthjeevan.in. On that note, again, as we are nearing towards the end of the time, we are very conscious of the time right now. What is that one note that both our panelists can tell women out there on this occasion of International Women's Day? And they're like, no, you're putting me on a spot now. Did you tell us about this before? But no, I'm sure our ladies are there ready to help us out. Yes.
Yes, it's such a privilege. Womanhood is a privilege. When I got into counseling, I started listening to the complaints and the issues of men also from our church actually, because I being a church leader, couples used to come to me. So after I listened to the challenges of men, I started thanking God every day. That thank you, Lord, for making me a woman. They face many more challenges than we do. I'm not saying that we don't face it, but their challenges are different. I think we women are more vocal when we come to our issues. We speak it out, we share with each other, we stand by each other. So I think, and men, they don't like to share it out as much as we do, I think. So they struggle a lot more than we do is what I think. So I started praising God that you made me a woman. So I think we should celebrate womanhood. We should thank God. And we should believe that, God has placed equal value on men and women. It's not that we are lesser in any way, but then we have different roles to play. We have different abilities. Our callings are different. And yes, with God's help and with help like, Ananth Jeevan and so many other resources, we can do it. If anybody sitting here is thinking that, I cannot, look at these women who are sitting there, who are on the panel. No, we are one among you. We are one like you. It's just that, we are taking God's help, and we are taking help from a lot of people. And by the grace of God, we are what we are today. So you can do it. You can do it. Never, ever give up because you are hopeless. Nobody is hopeless in this world. There's enough help. There's enough help from God, and there's enough help from people. You must, take your next step. Never ever give up. That's my message for you on this Women's Day. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, I'm going to, I just read about something and I want to lay it out here. It says, made out of the rib of a man and intricately fashioned by the very hands of God, a little extra thought put into the making of a woman. Genesis says women were made to be a companion and a helper to man. The word helper, azer, in the original Hebrew shows up more than 20 times in the Old Testament. The references indicate that azer is someone who is strong, kind, overcoming oppression, and defending those in need. I think it's a privilege to be a helper. May we embrace the identity that God has placed on us with all the strengths and weaknesses. You are beautiful, and God has placed within you a beautiful heart that cares and comforts those around. Continue to bear His likeness in you as you can remain an Ezer. At that note, I want to tell all the beautiful women out there, You don't always need to keep it together. It's okay to break. It's okay to fall. That makes us human. If we don't fall, we are God. We are very much less than God. We will break, we will fall, and you are not alone in this. There are people out there like you, and there are people out there who walk this journey and they know how to help you. Seek help and live happy. Happy Women's Day, and thank you, Pranita.
Thank you so much, ma'am. On this note, thank you so much, Nirupama ma'am and Betty. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, ma'am, once again. Yeah, thank you so much. We are so glad that you could come and join and talk and spend your valuable time with us. We want to thank all our viewers out there listening who have just been on the call for a few minutes, who came and out. Many of them said we are working. We will be able to join us just for a few minutes. But we want to tell you, we will make this video available on our YouTube channel and even on our website. You can go and listen to it anytime. But again, once more, repeating our helpline number for all those again right now needing help, 906-3533-826. Need help, please call. Or please text 766-1951 444 if you need any more assistance. You can text on that WhatsApp number. Know that you are not alone. Know that help is right there at your right side, that you can just call and we'll be there. I know we are not gods as we say that, but we can reach out to you and give you that assistance that you need. And for all those men out there who are listening, please, if you know of anybody going through these issues, please reach out to us. But first things, go spend some time, communicate, talk it out, live it out, right? Ladies, take a deep breath today. Chill out. Why don't you sit down and not do anything much? Don't take the stress of cooking too many things at home. Maybe you just need to just take some rest and enjoy your evening. I know it's easy to say. Some people may say maybe it's easy for you. It's hard for us. Let's take those small, tiny steps as we spoke today. Tiny steps of saying we will say no to some things and we will just be firm on what we are doing for the good of our own sake and for the good of our families. Because I think women are the owners of nurturing families, building, growing up our children in the way that, that they need to grow, or not giving them the wrong expectations. Again, on this note, I really want to thank our panelists for coming in. I really want to thank people who helped us setting up, our volunteers who helped, and many of our own friends and volunteers who are pushing this across, helping us with, sending across and promoting this whole thing. And Christopher, he's not there, but I really want to talk to Mr. Christopher, who helped us setting up all this live telecast thing that we could do, because though sometimes we're not tech savvy, but he helped us set up everything and ensured we are in place. Once again, we really want to thank our panelists who have come, taken their time, and we had series of meetings before that. We wanted them to come, sit there, log in for some time, check everything. Thank you for being patient with us. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for answering those questions that I didn't prepare you all for, and for all those questions that were coming forth. But I'm so glad that you could be here. Thank you again for all the audiences again who came. Thank you for listening to us. Just not listening to us, but we hope, we pray that this will be a turning point. Today may be a turning point for you to take some decisions. Today will be a turning point for you to seek that help that you need. You need help. Please to come to us. Some of us that were asking in our chats today that counseling is becoming an expensive issue, especially psychiatric counseling, psychological counseling. When they go out to the market, it's expensive. Please note, right now as we speak, we do not charge for our counseling services. It's free of cost, unless and until it reaches out to any other high levels of treatment that we have to go to for any specific case. That's a different thing altogether. Please don't hesitate. Don't look at what it's going to cost us. Please come to us, approach us. We are there to help you. At this note, I really want to thank everybody once again, especially our panelists who have come and taken time to speak and share about their thoughts on mental health challenges in women. For all those again who are still online, if you have not dropped in your name and where you are from, if you can drop in your email ID, nothing like it, but if your name and the place where you're coming from, please drop in that before we exit in another minute. Thank you once again. Are there any more questions that we can take? If that's about it and we are done for the day, thank you once again. A happy Women's Day to everybody out there. God bless you all and have a good evening. Bye, madam. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Meet Sarah, a college-going teenager who, like many of her peers, faces the relentless